In this video, we're going to be changing the rear brakes on this Golf MK6. Just showing you what happened when things don't quite go to plan. So yeah, watch the video. Okay, so the first thing you need is your locking wheel nut tool. You're going to need that. Without that, don't even bother. It's pointless. You can't go anywhere. And just start by just cracking the nuts on the wheel. So I use a breaker bar. It just makes life so much easier. Even though I've got an impact socket, I still use a breaker bar because I'm old school, and you know, you just understand and you gauge it so much better. So you got to jack the car up and make sure you support this properly, because you only need to get this wrong once and it's a wrap. I don't care how big you are, bench pressing the Golf ain't cool. So just make sure you jack it up right and put the jack stands in the proper place. Look at the D-wall, the impact driver. That is sick. So yeah, you got to use this. It comes with a 17mm tip because that's the size of my the wheel bolts are, wheel nuts, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, just undo them while the car's jacked up now, because if they were tight, I'd be rocking the whole car. So this is why you always do it when it's on the floor, so you don't, you know, nearly kill yourself and pull it off the jack. Bit stuck on, give it this touch of faith. It's off. Safety first, always safety first, and slide that wheel underneath the car. So God forbid there was an earthquake, because earthquakes don't send emails. At least you know what's happening. And look at that. No meat on the bone, scraping the disc there. Reminds me of me getting together with my ex. I said that before, but it does, because that's scraping terrible, one of the worst I've ever seen. The other side isn't too bad, but also just absolutely no meat on the pads. So you're going to need a 13 on the outside and a 15 on the inside, closest to me. Now you can't have a fat head spanner. You need a kind of a slimline spanner, else it just won't make the gap that it's made for there. And there you go. It's just about rocking it backwards and forth, as you can see there. But yeah, that ratchet spanner really helps. I'm going to put all the tools in the link in the description so you can see where to get stuff from. But yeah, look at this. Lovely. All coming out. And I nearly rounded that bolt off. So yeah, gotta be careful. So same thing on the bottom there. Same thing, it will just slide in. But like I said before, if you don't have a slim head spanner, that 15mm won't slide in. So the ratchet one on the outside would not fit on the inside. So bear that in mind when you're going to do this. I might have to try and take a photo of that and send it to you on my Instagram or something. If you haven't joined my Instagram and if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. It's a great time. So here we go now. We're just taking off the brake caliper, and I want you guys to watch this now. There are no shims underneath that brake pad. No shims. So whoever did this last time, probably Borat, he didn't put no shims. He thought he was going for lightening the weight on the car so it go faster. He's trying to make your brakes go faster. So these were seized in. So you can see it there. Look, there's absolutely no meat on the bone there. Nothing at all. Look at that. Terrible, terrible, terrible installation. So we're going to try and improve that here. Hopefully, you know. But look, you can see the brake pads. Absolutely disgusting. Worn down. And that little hand there is my little daughter. She wants to be a part of the gang. But yeah, this is probably one of the worst I've seen. So this here, the disc screw, and a lot of time they're chewed up. So you just make sure you get a good connection when you're trying to release it. And because it's stuck onto the disc itself, so I doubt you put any anti-seize on it, the last person, you have to give it a little knock with a hammer. So what I always like to do is just like to clean up any nonsense that's around it. I would say advise to wear a mask. I know the brake pads don't have asbestos in it anymore, but yeah, just protect yourself. And I'm using a wire brush and other brushes and just cleaning it all up, because I just know it's just disgusting around there. And once again, I said protection, PPE, use a mask, make sure you're protecting yourself, because yeah, being ill is not the one. So usually I'll be able to just close these with these monkey wrenches or these grips. But because this had extended so far out, it was super tight. So I'm going to show you when it doesn't really go as planned and the kind of things you have to do and adapt it. So I'll put the caliper on finger tight, and I used the wind tool to push it back. Now the way some of these wind tools are designed, they're too big to go into the caliper once it's extended beyond a certain level. So where you saw my pads were really thin, the space in between the actual outside of the caliper and the piston itself was so tight, and you can see it's seized up because I'm having some real difficulty trying to loosen it. But you have to be patient and go backwards and forth until you can wind it back. It's not the same with the front calipers, but this one has the handbrake lock-in mechanism inside this caliper, so it has to be screwed back. A lot of them you can just squeeze with those clips usually. So yeah, remember that. So as you can see, I'm just using it freehand now. And I think I forgot to mention that you actually need to loosen your reservoir, your brake reservoir, so that you can it has some space for the fluid to go back into. So I'm gonna have to put that in the video later. But here you can see I'm really slowly trying to get it, because this was really fighting me. But once again, that breaker bar is the one. It's good for everything. I use it so much and it gets me out of so much trouble. But you've just got to be patient with it, but it will come. But saying that at the same time, my case is particularly extreme. It had nothing on the pads, and it really should have. It probably won't do it to most normal people, but this is more of a video when things don't go right. But as you can see, you take your time. It's a bit of Houdini trick, and it will slowly start to give. But it's all about patience here, and you can see it's starting to work with me now. This was mainly due down to poor maintenance. So, you know, it's never good. There's always a cost to maintaining things poorly. There you go there. Take your time and it will come. But it was slipping off quite a lot. But after you've got it past a certain level of retraction, I should say, it should be quite easy to do with just the hand ratchet. And there you go, you just take your time. See, it does slip off, but these are the realities. These are the, I'm trying to show you something that maybe some of the other channels don't show you. They only show you going perfect. This isn't perfect. So there we go. So now we've got it all off. We've got our little helper. Yeah, she's too funny.
Thank you.
This is the newest edition. Newest mechanic. Anyway, so here's the sliders. So make sure you clean them up, give them a little bit of an inspection. You know, they're generally 9 times out of 10 they're all right. If they're not super damaged, they'll be all right. So just make sure you clean them up, clean all the nonsense off them. I had this lying around from somewhere, some brake lubricant. Now, there's a difference between lubricant and anti-seize, and they shouldn't be used for the same thing, not ideally. So we're using lubricant on all the contact areas that are going to be moving backwards and forth. So that's what you mainly use a lubricant for, where things are moving and where it's going to get contact over and over again. So this is what I've done. So you just touch up all of the little contact areas because you don't really want to be going back in there. It's a bit over the top, but it is what it is. So here's the brakes, or the brake discs, or rotors if you're in dollars. And this is a good time because parts people can get it wrong. You make a comparison. Just make sure they're the right size, right diameter up, because if they don't fit, you're going to have problems. So now's a good time to check so you don't fight with it. There you go. The new ones look beautiful. So these discs come with like a film on them to stop them from corroding. Just make sure you clean them off with some brake cleaner. Here it is, these all easy stuff. Dora the Explorer's getting some work. And the securing screws, just clean them up with a wire brush, just to make it easier to go in. And once again, there you are. Simple, so easy. So the front of the face of these, the bearing here, I'm going to just give it a clean up. Because once again, we want to make sure things are as tidy as possible. Protection on your face, you can see the dust. Look at that, all that nonsense. I was going to paint them, but I thought to myself, So where the shims go, I just use another wire brush there to make sure it's nice and clean. Because, yeah, the other guy decided it wasn't necessary there. Just clean, 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 clean. Make sure everything goes back easy. So here we are as it stands. And I'm putting some anti-seize, copper slip as they call it. This is where you put copper slip because these are high torsion areas, high friction areas. So yeah, you tighten it up here, high pressure areas, whatever. But this part here needs anti-seize so it doesn't seize on the bearing itself. But things that move regularly, those things need to have lubricant. I know it's a slight different. I could educate a bit more later, but it's late and I'm just narrating at the moment. So yeah, make sure you put copper slip here behind this area because it's going to be tightened up to a tight capacity. But where it moves regularly, you put lubricant. So here's the shims being installed. The one that the last person decided he was doing weight reduction on the car for. And we put it up in the top here. You have to hold it there a little bit. It's a little bit tricky. On the other side, I used a bit of that grease just to hold it in there. Now, it was a bit tight to get in, but I actually don't mind that. I'd rather them sit in there secure correctly than be loose and go in easy. Just do it right. So I was able to knock that one in. Not too difficult. So there you go. The other side was a bit more tricky. A bit more of a funny angle. And I had to just help it, just give it a little bit of help guiding in, really, hitting the metal part only, not the spring, just the metal on the outside, and it slipped in pretty okay after that. So here are the sliders, need to be lubricated. They go in as well, bit messy than I should be, but it's okay. Once again, these are going to be moving every time you hit your brakes, so this is why this needs lubricant. Anti-seize is not a lubricant, so that's the tiny bit of difference. Don't remember where I got that from actually, that stuff. But yeah, same thing with the top slider. We get that in, pop that in. Bit messy, but really, really gooey, really sticky. So it's not going nowhere. Lovely. So now it's just about putting the caliper back on. Squeeze that top slider in, squeeze the bottom slider in, and get them in the right place. Now these brake pads were supplied with new screws at the back, which I was happy to see. So yeah, they come with their own little bit of Loctite on the end, and just hand tighten them in. You know, just guide it in. It's all easy stuff. You just take your time, keep your protection, and it's the same on the bottom. So it's just a reversal of taking it off. Now, when you ratchet this, you don't have to. When you tighten this up, you don't have to do it super tight. You just have to do it snug because this doesn't really have much lateral force as such. It's just really just to keep it located, tied in with the sliders. That is enough. Everything else holds it together. So once you've done all that, make sure the disc moves freely and just give it a clean. Because if it's not moving freely, that means it's binding. So yeah, just put that together and slide that all in. Give it a clean up. Make sure nothing's on the discs. And that's it. Just back to whacking on the wheel. Get your nut lined up. Here it is, 17mm, hold it, bit tricky and dicey. And always hand tighten these first, always hand tighten them because you don't want to cross thread these and you want to make sure they're all right. So always hand tighten them first. And yeah, now you can give it a little buzz, do it on a low torque setting. So it's just snugged up. And this is how you jack up your car safely. I might make a video on it, put your link in the description if you want to see a video on how to jack up your car. And I use this puck now, and we just put it on the seam, which is easy. Pop out that axle stand, and there you go. Car's gone mad because it's detected it's been lifted up and it was locked. Slide it out, the thing drops out. There you go. Onto the other side. Lovely. You're down on the floor, and just use your torque wrench at your torque setting, your specification. I don't remember where I did it at, so I'll have to just, yeah, tell you later. Look in the link in the description, or I might just put a note up here. But yeah, just tighten it up on the torque wrench, and you're done. Locking wheel caps, there's a circle one there, that's for the locking wheel nut, and the other one's for the normal nut, so always remember that, so you don't end up fighting with it. Put them back on, and your job is done. This is why it's good to do your own stuff sometimes, so you know how things are being done. Well, thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and whatever you got to do, the notification bell. But yeah, support the channel so I can continue to make more videos. Guys, thank you very much for watching. See you soon.